Greetings, adventurers. Today we're excited to introduce you to a new story, Dark Dice, a horror podcast that blurs the line between actual play and audio drama, where the story is determined by the roll of the dice. 6 adventurers embark on a journey into the ruinous domain of the Nameless God. They will never be the same again. One of the players is not what they seem after a doppelganger, a creature that can assume the form and voice of whatever it kills, infiltrates the team. As the players are picked off and replaced one at a time, can they figure out who the monster is before it's too late? Can you? In addition to a full-blown fantasy soundtrack with over 30 live medieval instruments and a 40-person choir, sound effects further enhance the story. Here's a quick example of what that sounds like.
The shambler with the jar of liquid inside of him.
Soren Arkwright let loose an arrow that cracked the glass, passing through the spine of the creature. The shambler still managed to maintain its forward momentum, but stumbled as it eagerly tried to bite and swipe at Soren, landing near his feet. As Rowena struck the shambling creature near Soren, she shattered the canister in its stomach, sending its liquid contents spilling to the ground. With a rush of liquid, the small fetus fell too, twitching and moving toward Rowena.
I'm gonna punt you.
Rowena launched the fetus into the mouth of the mimic with a kick.
So if you dare, gamble your sanity and subscribe to Dark Dice however you listen to podcasts, or on Spotify. Dark Dice can also be streamed at darkdicepod.com.
I am Ashra Beckett, though you will address me as Ms. Beckett. I am the member of the Arcane Brotherhood in charge of the Howling Ravine encampment. I came to the Icewind Dale to oversee the excavation under the Reghead Glacier, to search for, well, I'm really not at liberty to say. The details of the Brotherhood's operations are strictly need to know, and you don't.
Icewind Dale Corrupted, on Mondays from 6 PM to 9 PM BST at twitch.tv/adventurerswanted.
Thank you all for joining us tonight for Journey to the Obsidian Spire. The world of Athos is a desolate place. Most of its people, a long time ago, they forgot how to hope, how to dream, how to believe in the possibility of a better world. But hope is not so easily vanquished in the hearts of heroes, and dreams are not so easily snuffed in the minds of the ambitious. And though no one can say with certainty if the world can be changed, if it can be saved, there will always be those who try, and there will always be those who fight. Our tale is one such group of would-be world changers and the allies of the Veiled Alliance. And when their stories one day return to the sand and their bones grind into the silt, they will still be remembered. But will their memory be a tale of triumph or a tale of tragedy? I can't answer that question. No one can. Only the dice know for sure. So let's begin tonight's adventure with Akasha, Marilla, and Dia in the village of Altaruk. My friends, welcome back to Dark Sun. Hi.
It's fine.
When we last saw the three of you, you had been attending a political event, a party in the village of Altaruk that would decide who the next leader of House Wabir is. House Wabir, in charge of banking in many of the city-states across the world. You widely regarded as the most influential and powerful house in most cities, certainly in Balak, though times are tough. And as you schemed and plotted and worked towards your own ends, each of you with individual goals, finding out a little bit more about Altaruk and about the political situation near and far, your party was interrupted with something that's a common occurrence in Altaruk. At least it seemed like it at first. An earthquake. Very often the village is rebuilding because of these earthquakes that tear down the walls and threaten the town, but this one didn't stop. And as we begin tonight, the ground is rumbling, buildings are shaking, a few are collapsing, and towards the center of the village, where its arena stands, where your caravan is parked and hitched, the ground opens up and people fall into it. They disappear in a cloud of silt, dust as it rises from the earth, and within that dust storm from the earthquake, we all saw a rising, writhing shape, a gigantic creature you can only make out the silhouette of, with a long, snaking body, two massive arms, the size of a giant. And that's where we'll begin tonight. And what I want to know first is, for each of you, let's introduce where you are, what you're doing, what you look like right now. We can start with Dia.
Dia is looking horrified. Her toes have scrunched into the ground beneath her. Her slippers now a long forgotten problem of earlier Dia. And she is beginning almost to run without thinking about it, because if the caravan goes down, certain precious items will go down with it, and she does not want that. She, I think, is a tangle of her scarves at the moment, as she's done a lot of moving tonight and hasn't fully rearranged herself since.
As you're sort of standing outside of the council hall looking onto this event, what's Dia doing?
Initially, she was yelling about what was happening, and now she's preparing to run. She doesn't really care about anyone else around her, anything else. She needs to get to that caravan because it has her things on it. And there's people involved too, of course. People very important. But
yeah,
also...
people are so important. Okay. So, Dia, you take off and you start to run towards the chaos. And it is chaos. There are mercenaries filling the street, moving in the direction of the dust storm of the earthquake, pulling people out of rubble. Other people are fleeing, though a lot of the village is gathered around the council hall because of the event. As Dia runs towards the storm, let's check in on Marilla.
All I can think of is how I sent Van away. I almost asked for him to come with me, and then I didn't, and he's over there. And the storms that run. Trip. No, run. The rope is just a little too long. Whoops. Run. I try to pick up a bit of it. I don't have a lot on me. I have, ceremonial weapon, but nothing else, and absolutely not thinking. Just the one brain cell was long since expended. Now is the leg cells.
The leg cells. So, Marilla, you're chasing. I think Dia's fast, right? Dia's very fast, if I'm not mistaken. So you're running in towards the same area of the town as Dia. You can see Dia up ahead of you and other people too. But let's check in on Akasha. Hey, Christina. I believe when last we saw you, you were hanging out with the Thry-Kreen Bard just outside of the council hall.
That was indeed what was up. We were having a very nice conversation about stuff. Really couldn't understand everything, and he talked about his exes a lot, and then everything just kind of started to fall apart, and just a lot happening right now. And she's very overwhelmed, and she doesn't do well in stressful situations.
Akasha, you can see that some people are pulling back into the council hall from the outside, and some of the guards of the village are starting to surround it and prepare to protect it in case there's an attack. And you can see others rushing towards the sandstorm. Your grandfather is not in the same area as the earthquake. He's in the merchant quarters of the village, which is on the other side of the village. And that side seems relatively untouched, at least for the moment. Not a lot of people over on that half of the village. And from this hill, you do have a nice vantage point of Altaruk as a whole. People are running past you. Probably somebody brushes against your shoulder, scrambling to get inside. You can hear tables being overturned on the inside of the building in the hall behind you. People are preparing for some sort of defense, just in case there's an attack of sorts.
My handmaid, where is she?
Roll me a perception check.
Ooh. $14.
In the chaos of everybody moving about you, you don't see her for a few moments, and then you do. Not necessarily doing what she's supposed to do. She is trying to push her way through this crowd that's running into the council hall, and looks like maybe she's heading down towards either... Can't tell if she's going to turn towards the center of the city or she's turning to get to the Elvish quarters, to where the rest of your people are.
Well, I need to catch up with her. We came together, and everything's falling apart. Can't come back without her.
Are you going to run and follow?
Yeah. But this also seems mildly suspicious.
you hear a voice inside your head, same voice that you were just having a conversation with a few minutes ago, that Tir-Amon Bard's voice. And he just says, "Where are you going? It is not safe."
Listen, we had fun. It was great meeting you. I've got to go because the ground is shaking and the world is falling apart, and I came with a friend and I need to leave with that friend. Great meeting you. All the best with your multiple clutches. Stay safe.
There's like a long pause as you run away, and it's like that voice, it's not like it's far away, it's still with you as you get down to the bottom of the hill to run towards your handmaiden. You just hear a simple, "Stay safe." And then the Tir-Amon turns and scrambles back towards the council hall, helping some of the others get inside. We're going to enter initiative now. And we're going to kind of do the normal thing where we rotate through. You can pass it off to whomever you want. But Dia, as you're running ahead, you're getting closer and closer to this dust cloud. You can see that there is something else happening here too. Out of alleyways, some of them dressed in black robes, some of them wearing merchants' clothes, swarming individuals attacking some of the guards that are trying to get to the center of the city. And there's a bit of a melee, a bit of a brawl happening between what you recognize as being more of these cultists that you've seen before and the actual local villagers, the guard that protects Altaruk. And you know that you're going to have to either take a longer way around or go directly through this confrontation if you want to get to that dust cloud.
Is there any option for going up a building? Over?
Of course, there's always the option. Yeah. You can jump. Now, the buildings towards the center of the city around the arena, a lot of them have collapsed, but to get closer, you could scale up one of these smaller 1 to 2 story buildings and try to jump from roof to roof. Go ahead and give me, if you want to do one, an acrobatics check.
Yeah, I think I would like to do that. Firstly, I imagine she can get a better look from top down. If it's a dust cloud, usually they're rising up, so she might be able to see down into it. But otherwise, it seems quicker, and she doesn't want to deal with people. She's in the same mood as I am. Like, the less people involved, the better with life right now. 16.
That's pretty good. You're able to scale up very quickly, and you think you have 45 movement speed, so you can easily get to the top of one of these buildings and then start to jump across the next one, which is a little higher up. So I imagine that like it's one of those things where you have to jump and then grab and pull yourself up, but you can have a better vantage point from there.
I imagine what she would do is take one of those scarves and use it to kind of cast it up and maybe like form a lasso or a loop that she can then use to pull herself up, and then the feet go up the building and up over the top.
Okay. And are you looking for anything in particular? Is there something you're trying to hone in on and see?
She wants a clearer idea of what is happening in that mess of a dust cloud with maybe monster coming out of it before she engages and jumps into it. But she is definitely looking for the caravan in particular and the House Jarko part of it.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
How about some more 16s, Don?
Another 16. Yeah, so there's a few things you can notice. First of all, the shape, the silhouette of whatever this creature is that's rising in this dust cloud, it's getting taller. And as you have a slightly better vantage down into the center of the storm, you kind of see through some of the silt. The glow of lanterns help. The moonlight and starlight up above helps a little bit just for you to see that it's still rising out of the earth. It hasn't finished rising yet. It's not to its full size, in your view, and there is action down around the mass, the body, the silhouette of this creature. You can see Ntak, the Thry-Kreen, who leads the guard of House Jarko. You can see the Mechalot, the House Jarko Mechalot, with that Howdaw on its back, and a number of other Thry-Kreen guards trying to pull the Mechalot away from the crumbling center mass here near the arena. And you can see that they're engaging with a number of cultists as well, who are starting to swarm towards them. With a 16, that's what I'll give you.
Alright, is there any way, as I approach the edge of this building and kind of attempt to proceed, that I can aim so that when I drop down, I'm going to use a cultist as a cushion?
Absolutely. Yeah, so
Preferably one engage with Untitled, because he's my favorite. And favorites are important.
So, yeah, you crouch down over this building, and you're looking down. There's several cultists running past, and you can see Untak is actually like strategically falling back, and he's got a circular weapon, a metal weapon. It's a chakram that he's throwing, and it spins around and cuts and comes back to him like the Xena warrior princess style. He's got a couple of them, and his forearms, he wields 2 of these, and he's got 2 spears in his other 2 arms, and he's just systematically jabbing, trying to keep melee attackers further away.
I'm not going near Killbot. He has this handled. I'll go and try and take out someone else, and I imagine what Dia's going to do, she's actually going to back up the roof and then run the full length of the roof so she can get as much momentum behind the jump as possible.
Dia, as you step back to get your momentum, you're right back at the edge. You feel a hand grab the back of your leg, the back of one of your thighs, and start to pull itself up and pull you down. And over your shoulder, you can see that one of these black-robed individuals is climbing up onto the roof. In one hand, they have a sharp-looking obsidian dagger, and the other hand is wrapped around your leg.
Alright, hand is on one ankle. I'm going to pivot, bring the other foot down and around, and try and kick it in the head.
Go for it.
Alright, unarmed attack, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. 13?
13's a hit.
And doesn't count as a melee weapon because it's unarmed, unfortunately. Alright, so yeah, she's gonna kick him in the head as hard as she can. And try and make sure she maintains her balance. Maybe as she comes around, she kind of drops lower, so her center of gravity is lower, which is gonna make it harder to topple her off this roof.
Cool. Go ahead and roll the damage for that.
Alright. A 6 bludgeoning damage to the head.
Alright. When you spin your leg around, it snaps into this cultist's head. The hood flies off. They're entirely bald underneath, just with snake tattoos wrapping all around the top of their head, all around their neck, down onto their body perceivably, the bits of it that you can see. Their hand begins to slip as they fall off the edge. They try to pull you with them. And I need you to make me an athletics or acrobatics check. I'll give you either.
I'm going to take acrobatics.
Okay.
Maybe attempt to get out of that with a flip or something. 14?
It's just one short. It was DC 15. So you go sliding back, and you can see now that more of these cultists beyond the edge of the building are swarming from all sides. The House Jarko caravan. They've circled up like gladiators do. They're very skilled fighters, but they're vastly outnumbered. And you see it for just a second before you go sliding down and you fall to your feet. You don't take any damage. Down to the bottom of this building in this alleyway, right next to this cultist whose head kind of snaps back against the sand underneath of him. And then his head just kind of rolls to the side and he's knocked unconscious. But you're back in the street and there are people all around you. Guards, robed individuals.
Did the dagger fall with him? Is the dagger down here?
It's laying right next to him.
Alright, I want to grab that and then I'm going to cut the snake's head off. Because I don't want this thing getting back up. Just turn around, just slice the throat. Get it done nice and quick. So I'll just
You have
roll.
advantage on
Wait, do I have a
this.
dagger? I do have a dagger. So 12 with advantage.
That's just a hit. Yeah, so you can go ahead and roll damage. I think it's going to end up being enough.
5 piercing.
Yeah, you do exactly what you say, and as your turn ends, you still have a bonus action if there's anything else you want to do. But you've almost got to the caravan, but you were pulled off of the top of this roof before you could quite get there.
Bonus action, check in for other weapons. Because one dagger is good, more daggers better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can. I'll say with a bonus action, you can go ahead and get yourself a second dagger.
Nice. 2 daggers in hand. Thea is going to proceed around the building.
All right, Marilla. Say like you following Dia, you would probably notice Dia like jump up to the roof. You might lose sight briefly unless you tried to follow, but you're able to go and do whatever you want. And just like with Dia, like there is fighting that's happening in the streets all around you. It's going to be hard to get through it, potentially.
It is for this purpose, this very, in fact, precise purpose, that parkour was invented. That whatever obstacles are in your immediate environment not stop you. And, for the most part, windows do not have glass in them. Those are expensive. So, basically going horizontally through people's houses, using the windows so that I can take a horizontal line and therefore save time without going directly into the melee. So it's movement to dash, action to dash, just fast.
As fast as you can. Give me an acrobatics check.
Absolutely, I would love to. Exhaustedly.
Oh, yeah.
Fortunately, the lower of that is a 21.
So you're able to climb up and get through a window, and it's that scene in a movie where you're rushing through people's like living rooms, like maybe one of them's eating dinner, it's like a nice family, and they just kind of go to you shocked, and you're through the next window, and the next one's entirely empty, almost eerily so, and entirely dark, but you're able to get through the next window. And you hop into the third window, which will take you pretty close to, at least beyond where the thickest of the fighting is happening. And when you leap through that third window, it's not a family that turns and looks at you. It is a circle of 4 of these black-robed individuals kneeling on the ground in a circle drawn into the floor of this house. You can see just a pile of writhing snakes that is very similar to a scene that you saw once before in Balak. There's one snake that appears to be larger, and it's eating the other snakes. They're just sort of swaying and chanting. They haven't noticed you yet.
Wonderful. It was for this that I held on to my cunning action. So, they haven't noticed me, which means, based on my environment, I could disengage right through them or hide. Depends on sort of what my environment is. How much capacity I have to use whatever's in the room. Like, can I drop low and sneak under and then out?
Yeah, so imagine this room is a small two-story building, and this looks like maybe it'd be a general like living space. There's a set of stone stairs that lead up to a platform that then turn at a right degree and go to the higher floor. Most of the furniture in this room has been cleared out. There is a table on one side, a stone table that's up just a couple of inches off the ground. It has a number of candles and strange looking bone artifacts on top of it. And then in the center of this room, that large symbol drawn into the ground, and these 4 individuals just chanting in a strange language as they have their heads down, swaying. The window is on the opposite side of the room from you.
Can I, with what I've got, run, leap onto the table, and sprawling horizontally through.
Yeah, I like it.
Great.
And this is your cunning action. I'm not going to make you make another acrobatics check for it because you can just disengage to do it. But you will as you jump up on this table and probably snapping a bone, one of their artifacts beneath your feet just slightly, and then you leap through this window. You see like all of the swaying cultists, they stop chanting. If you look back over your shoulder, even for a moment, you'll see all of their heads snap towards you in the window. The flash of obsidian daggers coming out.
Those are future Merula's problem, and 30 seconds from now, Merula is it's a whole different Merula. It's a Merula we don't need to worry about for another 30 seconds.
You fly through this window, Merula, and they tumble onto the ground and back up to your feet. And what you can see here is you're beyond, maybe this was an alleyway at one point, but the next building has collapsed. It's just a pile of rubble and dust. And to your right, where the street is that leads to the arena and to this site of action, there are still people fighting. There are some of these cultists who are running towards that dust cloud, but the Altaruk guard, the mercenaries, haven't broken through here yet. It's a little thinner. You might be able to make a beeline for it, wherever you're heading next on your next turn.
Good.
Akasha, you're chasing down your hand servant, your handmaid, who's trying to like push through individuals and get through this crowd, moving directly towards the fighting at the moment, at least. What's Akasha's goal here?
So my goal is to get to her and take her back with me. But the closer that we get to the fighting, the more uncomfortable I start to get. Like, it's really hot. Like, are you guys hot? Is anybody hot? Oh, you know what? Gotta take care of the elders. I gotta. She'll find me, and I'm gonna go and completely stop course, run away from the fight, and back towards my grandfather.
You're running through the part of the city or the village that's not is damaged by the earthquake. There's still some walls and buildings that have been damaged just because of the proximity and just the shaking, the violence of the earth upheaving. It's less crowded, but as you're running towards the marketplace, you do see a number of black-robed individuals running down an opposing street. You can kind of see down an alleyway that they're crossing the street to your left, moving in the same direction. Are you trying to outrun them? Are you trying to be stealthy? Are you trying to do anything else here?
I would like to approach them.
Okay. How do you approach them? There's two of them.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Can I ask for your help?
One of them stops and puts a hand on the other one, stops a moment later, and he turns towards you, and you can see that this looks like a slightly older dwarf, shorter, and the other one you can't see but is taller and broader shouldered even than the dwarf. But the dwarf, you can see they've got these snake tattoos on their face, and this one in particular, his lips have been, it looks like they've been sewn shut. He turns towards you, and there's a certain fervor in his eyes, and the other one speaks. Who are you?
My name is Akasha of House Sereno, and I and there's just a lot that's happening, and I wondered if you knew anything. Your robes just look so official. But maybe you could help. Do you know who sewed his mouth like that? Like, was he talking too much? Was it a case of him just kind of like excessively talking? Like, did he bite someone and this was the punishment? Is that like something that just generally happens here? Never mind, that's not important.
They look to each other and then back to you. The dwarf draws, looks like a small bone axe from beneath his robes. And the other one says, "Perhaps you'd be safer if you came with us."
I was hoping more along the lines of directions, like pointing me in the right way to go. Information, transactional information, and money. I can like pay you for your time and your work. I don't want you doing the labor for me. I just, you
can see that they take a step towards you. You know, like a small step, and then the other one draws what looks like a little club out from underneath his robe as well. It's made out of some sort of stone. He says, "It's not safe. We can take you someplace safe."
As great as that sounds, and as enthralling as your company must be, I'm sure one of you hears that all the time. And I don't know, maybe you are just have an engaging, and like, you do have delightful eyes. They're absolutely just fantastic. It's neither here. So, you guys have weapons. I've got so many weapons and knives and bows and bigger clubs. And so, this was great. Thank you for your time. And if you're ever in Balak, come say hi.
They don't answer you. Are you sticking around?
No, I would like to use my advanced elven speed to dart off in the other direction.
Okay. All right.
Not where Dorinda went, but to the opposite direction. I've now covered. Let's see. Yeah. I don't have landmarks in this town to go by, so I'm gonna guess it's right. Maybe left, maybe east, west.
Sure. Yeah, you're running through. You turn and you run back. You're running through the Elvish Market. It's not a huge town. And you know where your family's staying. It's a manor. It's one of the larger manors in the marketplace. But these two individuals, they do start chasing you. So let's call it an athletics or acrobatics check. Let's see how well you do. I'll give you advantage because of your elvish speed as well.
So first I rolled a 14. Then I rolled a natural 20.
Ooh.
Plus 1, 21.
Yeah, I mean, you take off and they, like, the dwarf, like, goes to leap at you and, like, you are gone. They hit the ground, their face into the dust. The other one runs past the dwarf, who scrambles up and is trying to catch up, and they're chasing you down this alley. You hit the street and you can see a straight path a couple of blocks down is the manor where your grandfather's staying, where all of the guards of House Sereno are staying for the night. You can see now that more of these figures are starting to spill into the marketplace that you're in. Not a huge number, but maybe half a dozen more in the opposite direction, but they're starting to come in your direction as well.
I'd like to keep running, but put my hand on my elvish long blade underneath my dress that is attached to my hip. Because I wasn't lying. I do have weapons on weapons on weapons. Because every woman should stay strapped.
So we'll say, like, with your dash action, this interaction, you're running, and these two individuals in particular are chasing you. The rest aren't really moving quickly. And some of them are, like, moving into houses like they're searching for something or someone, perhaps. But these two do continue to chase you down the street. And that's going to bring us back around to Dia. Dia, you're kind of in the thick of it now. And you're trying to get to House Jarko, correct? What's your approach here?
I think she's hugging walls as much as possible because as the dust is getting thicker around her and its shapes and shadows, she doesn't want her back exposed. She's already been grabbed from behind once, doesn't want to repeat, and she'll be pushing forwards. I think she's taking caution rather than just running into unknown, dangerous territory, but each hand has those daggers up and she's squinting hard at these shapes because the second she thinks that's a cultist and it gets in her way, it's going to not be in her way. That's her mindset. She has one place to go and she's trying to take as straight a line as possible, but trying to defend herself from behind at least. So her speed dramatically decreased, but pushing forwards.
Okay, do you want to roll me, I guess maybe a stealth check sounds appropriate here.
Yes. Yep. Stealth or perception, I guess. 16 again. Apparently the only number I can roll today.
It's a good number, at least.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're able to squeeze. I think there's a point as you're trying to find the easiest way around this building where there's less individuals. There's 3 guards, Altaruk guards, who are holding off 6 of these robed individuals, and the robed individuals just throw themselves at the guards. The guards are able to cut down a couple, but just the weight of the rest of them smashing into them push them back, and for a second as you're trying to slip between them and the wall to get past them, one of the guards slams into you, and just for a moment you're pinned up against the wall behind this guard, and then the cultist pulls the guard off of you and they continue to fight. You're able to continue to push on around to the edge of this building. You can hear cries out from all direction, and the silt now, the sand and the dust from this earthquake is kind of in your eyes, and you can see now clearly the Thrykreen guards who serve House Jarko are starting to get pushed closer and closer back to these cultists. And roll me a perception check.
All right. 16.
Wow, it is a 16. That's eerie. It's very spooky.
It is very spooky.
The easier thing to notice is that several of the cultists who are engaging with House Jarko have fallen back. They're not engaging in melee, but you see them casting spells. It happens twice. A bolt of fire released from one of these cultists' hands catches one of the Thrycreens, and they begin to cook before your eyes. For a second, it kind of lights up the area so you can see a little bit better. And another one puts their fingers together and spreads their fingers upwards, speaks a word, and these bolts of light shoot up into the air, swirl around, and then dive bomb a couple of other Thrykreen who don't perish but are wounded by the attack. The other thing that you notice is a sound on the wind. It's a language. It's a language you don't know, but it's certainly a language, and it's coming from above, and it's loud. You could almost mistake it for something natural, but it's not natural. And you have... Dia, you have a psionic ability, right? Trail of Destruction.
I sure do. Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so as an action, you can determine if defiling has occurred within 100 feet of you within the last 24 hours. Your sight gives you an accurate picture of the level of the most recent spell cast, and if it's applicable, it's school.
So you have to spend an action to understand, but Dia, your ability to understand when defiling's happening, you recognize the signs. For instance, there's a potted plant in the window right behind you, right to the next, that wilts and turns to ash. And you can see a circle of ash beginning to form on the outside of this dust cloud, and you become aware that whatever this creature is that's in the center of this storm, it's speaking arcane words, and it is defiling the land in preparation for something.
I think bonus action, I'd like to take the scarf that I've been using for various other things and wrap it around so that I'm not inhaling this dust. Want to keep lungs nice and clear and try and keep as much as I can out of my eyes, but you know, it's a quick wrap action. And then she's gonna, if she can, use her action to have another movement action. And she's pushing for that caravan because she needs what's on it. She can't do a lot until she gets to there.
You are going to have to run through the cultists, and a few of them will get opportunity attacks against you.
She will risk it.
Let's roll them. 12, a 20, a 4, and 2 21s.
The 4 doesn't hit.
Does the 12 hit?
Oh, no, that doesn't hit either. Just the 20 and the 2 21s.
So, Dia, as you begin to push through cultists to try to get past to House Jarko and the guards, some of them do turn on you with scimitars, clubs, hand axes made out of bone, various weapons, all of them fairly crude. And you're getting slashed at left and right. You're able to dodge many of them and push through just to break through their line, but in the process, you're cut multiple times for a total of 14 slashing damage.
Good to know.
And you can see...
I imagine the blades kind of cut through and they get a little tangled in her scarves on the way through, but they just nick at her flesh, and it's that sore stinging of being grazed by something sharp very quickly type feeling. Barbed wire fences and the like.
As you break past, you can see Tak of House Jarko turns, and his head ticks to the side, his mandibles clack twice, and he flips his spear around in one of his arms and sheaths it, and then extends that arm to you. Both of his other arms throw the chakrams again, and they go spinning out into the crowd and then spinning back. But he extends an arm towards you.
She'll hurry towards him. Don, the beasts that our caravan are transported by, what are they called again?
So mechalots, imagine them, they're sort of like gigantic turtles that are used to carry howdahs on their backs and can manage large amounts of weight and many people.
How big are they compared to this thing that's coming out of this hole?
Maybe as wide as the body, but nowhere near as tall. It's rising up into the sky. Yeah.
Right, yeah, she's gonna rush to Untitled, kind of move with him, if possible, go wherever he's leading her, assuming he knows what she wants to do and is gonna go in the right direction. She'll call out saying that Taruk was at the party. We have to get to the caravan.
I'll say before we move to Marilla, there's an answer in your head, an echo in your head from Ntak. And Ntak just says, Taruk came. He inside storm.
We'll find him as well. She keeps it short because it's dusty as heck and dark.
Marilla, you've managed to make it back out to the street. You can hear the clamor of the cultists and the hissing of snakes from the building you just jumped through, and you can see the storm out beyond.
I run away from snakes and toward... I run out of the frying pan and into the fire. At that, yes. My goal is to get to the caravan, to get to the van about whom I can. And my father.
Roll me a perception check.
Did you know there are snakes behind me?
There
There's a
was-
storm
yeah,
ahead
I
of
knew.
me. Cool. Because I really well may not with that nat one.
Oh no. It's just a moment of chaos and a battle, and Marilla has been in some very stressful situations in the last couple of months. But this is a large scale event what's happening right now. This many people fighting all at once, just the sounds of weapons clashing together with the storm and everything else that's going on. And there's that moment you're looking around at the rubble of the fallen buildings, the collapsed earth that's still sinking, still slipping into this hole, this creature rising, and you can hear the chanting on the wind. You don't see your father or Van. You do see the House Jarko Mechalot and their guards just at the edge of what's visible in the storm. There might be more further into the storm, but it's going to be hard to see.
Well, hear me out. What if I were very determined and or dumb?
I support it.
All right. Really, just guilt. Just a lot of guilt of feeling like this could have somehow been. People could have been in different places, and very tired and not thinking clearly. I run toward the storm.
The sound of chanting gets louder even as your visibility goes from challenging to nothing. You're just pushing through this rising cloud towards, you're not even sure what, and you can't see anything around you on the ground. A couple of shapes now and then, but it's very hard to determine what. Roll me an Arcana check.
Let's see, I think that's, yes, that would be a big 6. Big hero 6.
You hit something solid. It's not a person, you don't think. It feels like a wall or a piece of stone, and for a second it just kind of stuns you, and you're able to keep pushing on, Marilla, but you suddenly feel extremely nauseous.
I keep pushing through because I knew that this was not the smart thing, but it was the necessary thing. So, in the scheme of things, getting a bit stunned and a bit sick, it's par for the course. So I think I sort of bring up a bit of my robe to try to cover against some of the sand and just peek around very occasionally. And as I do so, I think about maybe trying to get an outside view of the storm, but probably not yet. So Corey is hopefully going to
Corey's
get
flying to catch up.
Away. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can say by next turn Corey can kind of catch up and you can make that connection.
I have been going very fast and doing a lot of silly things, but they should get there quickly as the crow flies.
At the end of your turn, Marilla, you hit something else solid, but this is not quite the same. It's moving. It feels slick and slimy, and it's like scales. It's something like a living creature, and it goes up and up and down and down. And you believe that you are at this creature that's rising up out of the ground currently. You're able to touch its body. You can hear its sound in your ears, and that sense of nausea continues.
I think there's a moment where things click, because Marilla has felt a very similar type of nausea a bunch of times, but even this evening. And, oh, this is that kind of... what is going on? And backs up just a little bit, gets the one dagger they have from their belt, and tries to think about where you can stab a giant scaly thing that feels like a wall. How do you stab a wall? I guess I need some cunning with my cunning action, but it's just not coming to them, so they're ducking down for a moment, probably just to try to cope with this and think about how to stab.
All right. Akasha, you are running down the street towards the Elvish Manor, where your grandfather and his guards are staying. You don't see your handmaiden anywhere, but you do see, like, over your shoulder, these two robed individuals. I mean, they're keeping up with you pretty well, and they're moving towards you. You've got a few blocks to get to the manor. You can see there's a couple of guards on the outside of it who are just kind of like stepped out from the door to see what's going on, what the commotion is. Lights on inside the house. You can see them through the windows, some shadows casting out of individuals who are probably moving around inside the manor. What's Akasha doing?
Akasha is feeling slightly overwhelmed and wondering if possibly these people are just only, 30 feet away from her at the moment.
Yeah, totally.
Oh. And she runs, she stops, turns around. And she casts Tasha's Hideous Laughter.
Yeah, and there's a moment where they stop, like they're ready to like charge towards you, but they stop because they're just totally confused. Let me make the saving throw here. What's your spell save DC for this?
Oh, character sheet. Looking in my face.
Let me see here.
Save DC.
I think it should be a 14, I think, is what you have.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it's over for a second.
Yes, 14. Come on. Eh?
Sure. Are you... Yeah. So there's two of them. Which one are you targeting with this spell?
I am going for the tall one.
Okay.
No offense to the short one. It's just the descriptor that came to mind. I was going to say, like, the other one, but I'm trying to be polite about it, even though I think they might be sort of trying to kill me.
The larger one stops, the one that was actually able to speak, stares at you strangely, and then it's like half of their mouth curls up, and they like touch their face, and then like their head jerks, and they start laughing, this deep belly laugh. They drop their weapon to the ground, and they clasp at their dwarvish ally. The other robed figure just shoves their hand away, gives them a strange look. They drop to the ground, they begin to roll around. They're laughing, but it looks painful. It does not look comfortable at all. The other dwarf, the other black-robed figure, stares at them for a moment and then turns and dashes towards you. And they're going to use the dash action and all of their movement speed to get to you, but they will not be able to attack you on your turn, but like they're rushing towards you, like mad rush, that axe over their shoulder, just waiting to come at you. It does seem like they might be trying to kill you.
This is less than ideal. Why does everyone just keep coming after me today? I cannot catch a break.
I think you get a bonus action too on your turn if you want to do one more thing, if you have a bonus action for anything you want to use.
You know, I don't.
Okay.
I would like to scream.
You can see a couple of guards, elves, from your caravan poke their heads out of the upper floors of the house, and they yell back into the house, and a few guards are starting to spill out now from within the manor. And the guards that are standing outside, who are just kind of watching, once they hear your scream, they reach over their shoulders and they grab a pair of longbows, elvish longbows. They're still some distance away, but you might be able to get there on your next turn. This figure is going to keep rushing at you, though.
Can I scream one thing?
Yeah.
Protect your Caesar!
I'm so glad that's what she screamed. Perfect. At the end of round 2 of this encounter, Marilla, Dia, that sort of hanging dust cloud that's around you pushes outward. It expands and explodes in all directions and then begins to settle so that you can start to see a little bit better and you'll be able to see more clearly on your next turn. But in the meantime, let's bring in our other 2 allies of the Veiled Alliance, Horson and Ebo. Horson and Ebo, your previous adventure down beneath the village pushed you to your very limit. Both of you barely survived what you saw down there. And in the end, Ebo was knocked unconscious, and Horson just barely, you were able to grab him and pull him out of the collapsing cavern as the earthquake began, and this massive creature began to rise up through the earth. You witnessed the rise. You witnessed the events that led to the rise. And you left someone behind, too. And then you did what you had to. You began to find your way out, climb your way out. And the dungeon, the corridors that you came through, some of them had collapsed in on themselves, revealing a climbing pathway up towards the earth, towards the edge of this hole. And currently, as you climb out of that hole, the 2 of you together, I give you a moment to kind of play that out, but let everyone know what sort of shape you're in and how many hit points you have left.
So Horson has a couple of temporary hit points and 1 actual hit point left, and he is limping. His shoulder is shrugged, and if I don't know, Ebo was unconscious. I don't know if he regained consciousness on the way up, but if he did not, he would have him over his good shoulder, and then he would be stumbling and attempting to climb up through the rubble to get his way out. And while his body might look broken, there's his teeth are constantly gritted, and there's this frenzied resolve written all over his eyes as he's attempting to ascend to the surface.
Ebo, you are conscious. You have woken back up. Would you stay on Horson's shoulder? What's this like for Ebo as you're kind of being pulled out of this dungeon and back up towards the surface?
I think even despite Ebo being conscious, he's kind of in that fading in and out, like his body's shutting down, realizing like not needed right now. Horson's like trying to take us out, and he's probably the best to take us out if things are like breaking around us or if things are collapsing. He's just kind of letting it happen and trying to like reserve his strength because he doesn't know what's going to happen next, and just kind of fading in and out. In his head, he's going to try and make a mental note if we're going through the same place we went out to either yell at Horson or to grab a couple bottles of alcohol as if we go through the bar area again.
And the bar has collapsed in this earthquake. It's part of what's been destroyed, being right on the edge of the arena there. But we'll say you probably have a bottle from earlier, right? Let's say you still have your bottle.
Yeah, I said it had 2 shots in it, so I kind of said it was a 2-shot bottle, which I used to do the cast, but I don't know if there was more in there or not.
I'll give you another. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's always a little bit extra at the bottom of the bottle on a good day. Not that that's what today's not necessarily a good day, but
sure. So I make a note of that, like the minute we're out of the danger, to kind of bolster myself a little bit because I'm not looking good. He can feel like the warm/cold, like first the initial warm feeling of like liquid pouring around the side of his ear and then down to his head, and it cools down off to his cheek, and then he's just seeing like pitter patters of his own blood kind of trailing the ground as Horson's carrying him from the huge concussive blow he's taken when he got knocked out against a big wall of stone.
As the two of you finally climb up to the edge of this rubble, breaking the surface, there's dust all around you, and at that moment the dust blows outward and begins to dissipate over the city, so it's a little thinner. It's still hard to see, but you can hear the sounds of shouting. You can hear the sounds, Horson, very clear sounds of battle. You can see robed figures shooting bolts of fire, casting spells, and fighting the House Jarko Dry Cream, who are kind of trying to protect the Mechalod, which they're trying to get away from this massive snake-like creature that is now almost entirely out of the ground. You can see now this creature for the first time clearly. The size of a giant, and its body is as broad and as wide. Its snake-like form is a Mechalod. But it does have what resembles ancient, tattered vestments that it's wearing on its body, and it has a very human-like, though snake-like head at the same time with 2 glowing red eyes, and the end of its tail breaks into many, many, many different tails that writhe together and constantly stretch out in different directions. And this figure, as the dust clears, you can see that it's chanting and it's holding up its arms. Its head is peeling back towards the sky. It's chanting in a language that you don't understand. But Ebo, you recognize immediately with your experience that it is casting some sort of defiling spell. It is defiling the earth all around you.
Oh, okay. You go ahead.
We're going to say initiative here. We're going to have to start with the 2 of you and then work back in everyone else too. You're a little ways away from the House Jarko folks, kind of off on your own as you climb back out of the rubble. What do you do?
I'm going to kind of slap Horson the back, like, not hard, but just like to get his attention. I'm gonna slap like the back left flank of him to like let him know to let me down and also to communicate.
Horson, we must get out of here quickly.
Can you heal yourself?
Only for a bit.
And I'm going to right now cast False Life at 2nd level. So I have to roll a 1d4 plus 4 plus 5. So 1d4 plus 9, rather.
Go for it.
So 12. So I get 12 temporary hit points, just to kind of give myself something.
Awesome.
And I like wipe my mouth. and smash the bottle on the ground.
He's casting quite powerful magics, and I believe we are not in a safe space away from him. Remember what happened to you in the bar? Yeah, that's going to happen to everyone if we don't get out of here.
Can we stop it?
Oh, possibly. But it's one way or the other. It's there's no you can't do both. If we're going to stop, we have to stop him, and if not, we must escape the radius. But it can only be escape or all in on stopping him. There is no in between.
Now, that thing you did to me in the bar, can you use something like that to heal yourself?
Yes, I can. It's possible.
All right, give me a second. And he's gonna turn around. He's gonna turn his back to Ebo, and he's going to use a bonus action to adopt his persona. And so you see his stance change and his gait change and his shoulders like arch back. And as his shoulders arch back, you hear this sickening crunch in his shoulder, and you can kind of see that it affects him a little bit, but then he pushes through it, and then he turns around like he's about to deliver some dramatic line in an anime, and you can see the corner of his mouth like spike up, and you see like his bloodied teeth, and he looks around, and he wants to would I be able to forfeit a movement and a main action to for another bonus action or two?
You want to forfeit on your action for another bonus action. What are you trying to do here?
So I can use persona points to give myself temporary hit points, and I'm going to use those temporary hit points if he can heal himself with them, and offer that to him as a means of healing himself.
I'll give you this. I will, you've had time as you're leaving, and if you've wanted to spend some persona points to build up your temporary hit points, I'll let you do that. It's a resource you can use.
Yeah, all right. So then he's going to do that twice. This is so many ones. So there's 8 the first time. That's crazy. And 8 the second time. So we get 16 temporary hit points. And then he's like, take it. Take what you need. And you can see that he's like, he's worked himself into like an almost insane level of like frenzy and fervor.
If we're redacting it, then I would probably not hit. I just upcast the false life up 1 again because I ran out of my 3rd level spells. So I'm just going to bump up the thing instead to a 3rd level. So yes, okay. That's what I'm going to do.
So, but you're going to defile to do it and take some life from Horson to do that, correct?
Yes, it's not a direct spell to him to get life because I ran out of vampiric touch, but I can just do false life at 3rd level.
Okay. So both of you make me Constitution saving throws.
Sure.
Or no, not you, Ebo, because you're getting from Horson, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. 10. Horson got a 10.
All right, Horson. This is a 3rd level spell. Michael, roll me 3d6. That's how much life you're draining. That's how many much necrotic damage you're going to deal to Horson here to defile.
3d6. Got it. Yep. 8 on the low end, right, and then
you can cast your spell.
Yep, and the false life. Let me just put it in the chat. And then, so it's going to be 1d4 plus 14. So, with it being cast at 3rd level. So 1d4. So 17 So I have 17 temporary hit points with one natural hit point. So, as I do this, I'm going to cast it.
Oh, I'm mighty grateful. I'll try and assist as best as I can, but things have been getting quite serious quite quickly.
Yeah, well, there's a giant snake person ripped out of the middle of the town. Do you know enough about this to stop it?
I know that, like, if someone's trying to cast a spell, the only way I know, if it's a concentration to do a ritual, like, I don't know if that can be stopped. Well, obviously we stopped the semantic part of it, but I don't have any counter spell. So do I need to roll Arcana to see if the being is casting something that can be interrupted?
Yeah, roll me an Arcana check. That's right, you don't have any third level spell slots left.
No, I don't. I got a 12.
Okay. You can't understand the language, but I don't think that this is like a long-term ritual. If you had to guess, maybe whatever they just cast, as the language stops and then they begin to put their hands together and make a series of somatic gestures, maybe whatever spell they just cast was some sort of augmentation spell, some sort of preparation spell for whatever they intend to do next. But you're not sure what that is.
All right.
I think it's best to just get away and get some distance. We don't know when he's gonna finish, and it might be sooner than later that we can do something about it.
Right. Are you good to run?
Yes, I believe so.
Let's go. And then Horson will try to like turn his gaze and find like an alley or whatever's left of an alley, but just like a clear path away from this snake thing.
Roll me a perception check, Horson.
That's athletics, right? 14.
Yeah, there's alleyways that you could run towards that look relatively unpacked with cultists and mercenaries who are fighting. You also see engaged nearby the base of this creature is the Mechalot of House Jarko and the House Jarko gladiators who are trying to get the Mechalot away from the creature and fighting through cultists to do so. You also see right at the base of this creature, Marilla, crouched down, and you could try to run towards an alleyway. You could try to run towards Marilla. You could try to run towards House Jarko. If you want to try to get far away from this creature, then you're going to have to leave the others behind.
Hello. I've got a student in there. I can't leave him.
All right, well, if we're gonna do this, let's be fast and, I guess in a lack of better term, fast and dangerous, then.
Fast and dangerous. And then Horson will like spring with some crunches that you hear happening in various spots in his body, and then head in Marilla's direction, attempting to approach at an angle to garner some perhaps attention away from them.
Okay. Ebo, are you running in the same direction, or are you running in a different direction?
No, I'm following suit with Horson. Ebo knows that the best place to be at his current state is the closest to Horson, so just trying to stay in step and in range with Horson.
Okay. Let's move then to Marilla, and we'll come back to Dea here in a second. Marilla, as the dust pushes out and you can kind of see again a little bit better. Roll me another perception check, and let's see who all and what all you see here.
Well, I didn't roll a 1.
That's good.
Roll
Was
a
it
2.
So as this snake is kind of the obvious thing, this gigantic monstrosity that's chanting, and the strange vestments that look like they come from an age long, long ago. That's the immediate thing. You do see Horson and Ebo running towards you a few moments later, but you still haven't located your father. You haven't located Van, or whatever happened to your caravan.
And I, until this moment, was holding my robe up a little bit to try to keep some of the flying dust out of my face. So as I let it down, I think my knots catch my eye. And I think of what I was studying with Van about a week ago. And I would like to activate the Preserver's Bracelet against the spell that is being cast by the cultists right now.
Excellent. So let's see here. Throw this up. Do you have the text of your bracelet on your character sheet or somewhere right in front of you?
I do, yes.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you read that for us?
When a wizard within 300 feet attempts to cast a spell by defiling, they must succeed on a Constitution saving throw versus the wearer's spell save DC, or the spell the defiler was casting fails. As a reaction, the wearer can spend charges to automatically deal damage to the defiler. For each charge spent, the defiler takes 1d10 force damage. So, my read is that there's a passive, actually, of that spell save.
Mm-hmm.
But given that something has gone through already in sort of the preparatory ritual, I assume there's stuff. It seems like there's really just rather a lot of chanting, and they should maybe have to make Constitution saving throws about it.
I think it makes sense. Yeah. So they're going to make a Constitution saving throw. The second part, like you said, it's going to happen no matter what. It's whether or not the save is basically to determine if the spell is going to go through. What's your spell save DC?
Let's see. 13.
Very good.
I know.
A very good saving throw for Constitution. Yeah, but they rolled a 2.
How do you make them?
They rolled a 2 on the die. So here's what happens, because what was about to happen was very, very bad. As Ebo and Porson, and are you spending any charges to deal damage, by the way?
Sure, that makes them identifiable.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'll spend a charge.
Okay, go ahead and roll me.
Actually, you know what? They're not gonna. All right, absolutely. 9.
Nice. Okay, so here's what happens. Ebo and Horson, you're running towards Marilla, and Marilla, you use this new this bracelet. You use this new magic that you've learned that is designed to protect against defiling. And a moment later, this gigantic snake finishes the gesture with their hands, and their eyes turn downward, and that red glow turns to a green glow in their eyes. And as they do, an aura of light begins to pass out from them. And you can see it's like a wave, and anything this wave touches, whether it's a withered tree or a corpse of a person who's already perished or anybody in its path, they immediately turn to stone. It's like a wave of stone, flesh to stone, wood to stone, everything to stone. And it's about to hit Horson and Evo. It's coming directly at them. When you finish your incantation, you finish your counter, and that wave hovers in the air and then turns into motes of dust. And it's like this large snake is struck with an invisible hand and a gigantic fist in the face. It reels for a second. It hisses a long tongue and then a second tongue flickering out of its mouth. Its eyes turn back to red, and it does turn down to gaze upon you. But you do stop the spell.
I hide.
Oh, okay. Roll me a stealth check.
Oh. Less roguish expertise. Oh, let me see. And that's a 16.
All right. So what kind of hiding do you imagine they find Marilys looking for? Like, what are they hiding in?
Oh, so they back away, feel something behind them, like a wall, and kick a bit of dust just to obscure themselves, and get behind and move a little bit away from whatever they initially felt. And then look up at where they are hiding, and it is a petrified person.
And as you stare into this stony face, let's cut to Dia. Dia, you've joined Tak and the House Jarko gladiators. They've circled up around this mechalot, and then you see to your left and to your right a couple of Thry-Crane behind you in this circle turn to stone. And then there's an explosion of dust motes all around you. And then these cultists all move in for another attack. You're sort of up with the rest. What are you doing?
I want to use my movement to get up onto the mechalod to find my lantern. That is step 1 of Dia's plan for this round.
Okay. I'm not going to make you make a check. It's easy to climb up there on the shell, especially for somebody as nimble and good at climbing as Dia. And you remember exactly where you left your lantern. I will say that when you see it, that blue flickering light on the inside, it's taken the shape of a hand, and it's smashing up against the glass again and again and again and again. You can see it's not breaking through, but there's a crack on the glass that wasn't there before.
She holds it up level with her face and says, "Do me a favor, and maybe we'll renegotiate the manner in which you are currently reclining." And she is going to whisper a magic word to this hand and place it down on the Mechalad's body. And she is going to attempt to do Tame Beast on the Mechalod so that she can control it.
Nice. Go ahead and throw that up in chat for us. And roll 20.
Sure will. I'm going to make the expenditure I need to make to be able to do this.
Okay.
I'll just make a note of that. It's a lot of text, but you attempt to beguile a beast that you can see within range. It must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be charmed by you for the duration, and its concentration up to 1 minute.
It rolls an 11 on its wisdom saving throw, which is not going to be good enough to overcome your save DC. So you find yourself, like, as you use this lantern, you find yourself in touch with the mind of this beast, and the beast only knows instinctual things. That's what occupies its mind, that it's frightened, that it's hungry, that it's hurt, and right now it's mostly frightened. But you have a telepathic link, and you're able to issue it commands.
I imagine for a moment she flexes in her mind and thinks, Rumi. Flicking back to her surroundings briefly, she's going to slide off the Mechalod, and as she does, she says, no way backwards, only forwards. Charge. And she's going to command the beast to charge the snake. I want to unleash Mechalod Ram.
Mechalot Ram. Yeah, and Mechalots are no joke, because Mechalots, these turtle-like beasts, they do have like long tusks on the front of their faces. Their shells, while you can climb up them and they're smooth, they're also spiky at points. And as this beast whips around, I imagine like the Thri-Kreen skitter away, they scatter away, and it probably steps on one of these cultists, just flattening them into the sand. Whips around, and it begins to charge forward. Things are falling out of the Haldal. The Haldal is bouncing back and forth. It's moving much faster than it ever did along the road. And at the end of this round, we will allow it to make an attack against this gigantic snake. Charges directly
Imagine
forward.
she's got that lantern held high, and the hand is just reaching out towards the animal as it's charging forwards.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Christina and Akasha, you're fleeing from this dwarf, but the dwarf has managed, as you stop to cast your spell, to take out, or at least to incapacitate his friend with a series of hand gestures. It's caught up to you, and you have the ability to face it or to continue running. If you run, it's going to get an opportunity attack against you.
So terrible. I come in peace, and I just want you to know that as the incoming Caesar and the highest ranking official in this town right now, I command you to stand down. That's not, not like that. It's just stand down.
Are you backing this up with magic or anything specific?
No, sheer brute force. I'm terrified.
Okay.
I am the Caesar. Fear me.
Roll me an intimidation check with disadvantage.
You're so rude.
This dwarf is a cultist. He's a zealot.
Rude.
So you want the 4 or the 6?
No, I'll take the 4. There's no hesitation with this dwarf. They don't slow down even as you order them to stop, even as you declare yourself the ruler or the highest ranking official. They leap it through the air at you and slash once with their bone axe. It's going to be a 15 to attack.
You have to roll, or I need to roll.
Oh, what's your armor class?
The real one? It's 11.
11. Yeah, I imagine so. Their answer is to slash at you. It actually cuts through your dress, the clothes that you had worn for tonight. For the, I think they're new, right? New clothes.
Yes, they are.
7 slashing damage. And as they land after slashing into your abdomen, they're drawing back and preparing to attack again. But you still have your turn. You can run or you can fight.
Well, I'm very, very, very upset at the moment because this was, in fact, a new outfit. And I worked very hard to make sure that I was presentable. Do you know how hard it is to make sure that not only your thread count high, that your material is nice, that everything is fitted and formed properly to your body, and then you have to deal with someone chasing you and all you did was ask for directions? Ugh! And I cast Thunderwave.
All right, let me make that saving throw for him. Is not going to be enough. It's going to be a 13, and your spell save DC is 14. So go ahead and roll the damage.
Seven points of damage.
They're starting to swing again, and as soon as you smack your hands together, that explosive sound goes out throughout all the buildings. Some of the shingles on top of these buildings, some of the rooftop rubble falls off from the force of this spell, and they go flying back. Their jowls and face are shaking in the air as they go flying into a wall. They leave the imprint of their body in the wall, and for a moment they're hanging there before they fall off and just hit the ground. Their axe underneath of them. They do not get up again.
Sorry. Not sorry. Whew. I would like to try and get inside now.
So you are able to run towards your dress ripped, a little bit of blood, but you're able to run towards the manor and the guards outside. They move apart, and then they form around you as you're running into the house. And you can hear several of them say as you pass, "Hail Caesar, Hail Caesar." And you're inside the manor. You can hear the sound of your grandfather from the room next door before he pops his head into the room. You're all right. You're all right. I was so worried about you.
I have to tell you something very important.
Of course, you can tell me anything, dear.
So I went to the gala and the ground started shaking and there was stuff coming up out of the ground and everything was around me and it was like I lost Dorinda. I lost everything is going crazy. I don't. But what I have to tell you is so important.
All right.
I really didn't know that being Caesar was gonna put my wardrobe in danger.
Akasha, we can always have you more clothes made. It's all right. You're safe now. What of your friends?
I'm sure they're fine, but I just want to be in the now right now and just kind of process this.
Yes, of course.
It's very stressful.
Snaps his fingers, and an elvish runner comes over. Please, get her any clothes that she would like, and make sure we're well protected until this blows over.
And food.
He nods his head. And food. He nods his head again, stoically. Offers you a hand. Come on, let's get you all cleaned up. He starts to head off to the back. Anything else that you want to say to him immediately?
No, I just want to sit here with this misplaced anger.
Fair. Legit. Meanwhile, before we resolve sort of our what's going to happen next, Ebo and Horson, you are running towards Marilla, and then Marilla, they kick up some sand and disappear into the cloud. A moment after, this wave of magic almost touches you, almost transforms you to stone like everything else around it, and then it's stopped. And Ebo, I want you to roll me, you can roll me Insight or Arcana, either one.
Got it. Insight or Arcana. 22 Arcana.
Yeah, I don't think that, Ebo, you're familiar with this specific form of magic. It's a little different than how you do things, but you are at least aware enough of the different types of magic out there to understand that Marilla definitely just used some sort of preservation magic. And preservation magic is specifically designed to be anti-defiling. It's meant to protect the land as much as possible against defilers. It's meant to cause harm to defilers. It's another way of using arcane magic and minimizing the impact that it has on the earth. And you're very aware that whatever this spell was that was cast that almost took you out, almost took Horson out, Marilla stopped it a moment before they disappeared. The two of you are together right now, and this snake, its head snaps back, it hisses, two long tongues come out, and a mechalot is charging towards it. What do you do?
I'm going to look at Horson and kind of like a reassuring look towards Horson, and I kind of just nod to see if he's still intent about going face to face with this thing, or what to do next, because Ebo is not a arena gladiator in any form, so he's kind of looking to Horson for guidance.
Does Horson see the mechalot gallivanting along?
Yeah, it's pretty noticeable. It's charging directly the base of this snake. Is Dia on top, or did Dia jump off? Dia's on top.
Dia's not on the mechalot. No, she slid off the side with the lantern in hand and was like, away.
It's probably wise. Yeah, it's charging. In the House Jarko, held on top that has all of the supplies. It's like breaking apart because this thing's charging over broken ground that's been upended by the earthquake, and it's going as quickly as it can towards this snake.
Do I notice if the snake person notices that the mechalot's charging?
Roll me an insight check.
Well, I've used my athletic jokes already, so I'm just going to roll an insight check.
It's never stopped you before.
It's alright, my athletics is a joke.
A 4.
Solid 4, buddy.
Who knows what giant snake wizards think? Who knows what they think?
All right. Well, here's trying to anticipate the angle of it. He's going to wave his arms to get the snake person's attention. In terms of relative size, let's say this beautiful art in the center of this overlay is this snake. How tall is Horson comparatively to this? I'm gonna have.
Well, yeah, it's small. Like you would have to, even to be able to reach the arms, Horson, you would have to climb up this thing.
So, like, where on the red little clothy area would he, if he would be tall enough?
Maybe you could jump up and grab the very bottom of it.
Oh, okay,
Billy,
so
you can't just ask about red little clothy areas. Come on.
Sorry. Okay, cool. So, idea here. Extremely stupid idea. But Horson's gonna try to catch the gaze of this, the snake thing. It's like, hey, you got an ass under that red thing I can kick? Or is it just like this weird amalgam of snaky flesh? And he's going to back away to try to give the Mechalot a better angle at charging it.
Are you trying to distract it, like taunt it? Is that the idea?
Mm-hmm.
All right, roll me a performance check.
And this one, because I'm using my persona, I'm going to spend one. I have one remaining persona point after this to add my strength modifier to my performance check. And so that'll be an 18.
And that is higher than its passive insight. Yeah, this snake creature, as it finishes reeling, like it looks down towards you and it raises a hand and it begins to worm up and it starts to lower its hand towards you and speak in that strange hissing language again. But its attention is entirely on you, so I'll give the Mechalot advantage on its attack.
Cool. And then he's just going to stand there and kind of be ready for anything. And then if that burned a major action, or if that burned like a main action, then I'm done. If it didn't, then I'd like to use a dodge action.
No, you made a performance check, so that's an action.
Okay, cool. Then that's it.
All right, Evo.
All right. I'm going to seahorse and prepare for going tail to tail, or head to head with this snake, and I will start doing an incantation and say in common, dangerous it is then. And he is going to cast Witch Bolt at 2nd level using my last spell slot of any spell slot things. And excellent. I have to roll an attack for that, so it's going to be +7 of what I roll for my d20. Yep, that's a 10. It's a 10.
I'll give you advantage on this since it's distracted.
Okay.
Consider the performance sort of like an epic stunt, a taunt.
It's a 12.
It's not good enough.
Yeah. As I cast it and I'm saying it in giant, I'm kind of just intimidated by like this huge form, and obviously it's similar to one of the things that kind of knocked me aback earlier, so I'm just still kind of not right there, and my Witch Bolt just goes way off. That's gonna be my turn. Well, yeah, because I can't try and perceive where Marilla is because I did an action, so that is going to be Evo's turn.
All right. Charlie, you can make me an attack. Roll me 1d20 +8, and you can roll it twice because it has advantage.
That was a dirty 20 followed by a natural 20. 28.
This is going to be a lot of damage. So this is going to be 8d12 +8 damage from this Mechalot because of the critical hit. So go ahead and roll me that.
57 angry turtle damage.
All right. So you watch the next thing that happens in all this chaos. Horson, you're distracting this creature, and it's beginning to cast a spell. It's preparing to cast a spell at you. Ebo, you fire a spell up at it. It just goes awry. Dia, you've sent the Mechalot charging even as around you. The cultists are actually starting to break up and lose because the mercenary guards have pushed them up against the caravan guards, and they're sort of getting crushed between the two of them now. They're just less well trained. They're less well armed and armored, and the mercenaries are continue to protect themselves, though the Mechalot charges off, and the snake creature, this gigantic beast, unaware, the Mechalot strikes with both of its long tusks. It's sort of like bone tusks directly into the hide of the snake for 57 damage, and the snake screams. Its spell is broken instantaneously. It begins to push the Mechalot's head down and away from it. This is much, much taller than the Beast of Burden that you've sent at it, but the Beast of Burden is strong. And wrestling with this creature, it flips the Mechalot onto its shell, which smashes a building. It sends another cloud of dust flying everywhere. And What happens next to this gigantic snake is strange. As it pulls back, its body writhing, hissing, its outer layer of skin begins to peel away. It falls away from the rest of it, revealing a pulpier, slimier layer of scales underneath. And then the beast moves and darts through the city in the opposite direction, crashing over buildings, crashing through the wall. And I want your hand. Give me a hand if you are doing anything to try to stop this snake from escaping, because that is what it's going to do. Okay, let's do it. Let's start with Marilla.
Dagger.
Go for it.
Am I hidden?
Absolutely.
It wasn't a great stealth roll, so I thought I'd need to ask. Oh, you know what's really lovely? You know it's really lovely rolling an advantage. It feels so much better than the other way.
It's so much better than disadvantage.
I like this one. I think I should really stick with this one. How do we like 23 to hit?
It's gonna be a hit.
Good. I'm very glad to hear. I would be very concerned otherwise. Plus 17 damage.
Excellent. And you're able to cut into the creature as it passes by you. The scales underneath of the skin that it's shedding, they're a little softer. You can actually feel them starting to harden even by the time that you pull your blade out, but you hit it just at the right time to actually dig into it and cause it to bleed a little. And then that shedding falls down like a heavy blanket over top of you, a grotesque blanket, as the creature continues to slide away further and further. What about Dia? Dia, what are you doing to try to stop this thing?
So as a free action, I can continue to command the Mechalod as long as I keep concentrating. So she's going to command it to roll over and get the snake. Very specific cutting instructions with images of mouths biting into melons, feeling like the title could relate to that. And then with herself, she's going to turn and she's going to gently stroke her hair. Go to that calm, warm place inside, and inspired by the fire and the radiant beam that descended from the sky earlier, she's going to attempt to send a sun bolt after this creature, and she'll run to try and get within range, because I think I have to be within 30 feet. Yes. So I can move 45 with a run movement, and then I've got 30 feet range. Can I get to that 75 feet?
Yeah, I'll say so. You're pretty fast.
All right, so I'm gonna do that. And sunbolt. Gosh darn it. 10. I don't have advantage, right? That would be nice.
No.
Poop.
Your bolt bounces off of this creature's scales as its inner skin, its new skin, begins to harden. You can watch that hardening happening before your eyes. You're not sure if you heard it or not. It certainly didn't stop it.
She clenches that hand, and in frustration, under her breath, she's like, move. And she commands that Mechalod to get up the right way and destroy this creature. She has just destruction in her mind and in her heart. And she calls out to Utak to make sure no one gets to her. She has to keep concentrating. And the lantern is pushed forward so the hand can reach.
Utak clacks mandibles twice, and the Thry-Kreen begin to fall back with you, but making sure they're holding a semicircular line to guard you as you continue to advance. Mechalot does roll over and starts to stumble forward again, starts to charge this retreating snake. Orson.
And so, am I on the same side as Marilla? Did I witness what they did? Or did they split us?
Marilla kicked up a cloud of dust and then hid. I don't think, unless you use an action to try to find them, or they reveal themselves.
So...
I did reveal myself by attacking, though, yes?
That's true. Yeah. Maybe you notice Marilla jump out and cut into the snake as it was passing by.
Okay. All right. 1 second. Let me just look up. Cool. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to. I have a new 6th level ability called Work the Crowd, and so in addition to that taunt that he just pulled, he's going to try to grab a scale passing by, and he's like, no, not from the blaze of Balak. And he's going to use Work the Crowd, and he needs to succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw, or be my choice of Charmed or Frightened, and I'm going to choose Frightened.
All right, let's roll that Wisdom. It's going to be a 12.
And so he fails and has disadvantage on all checks while I am within line of sight.
Yep.
As I'm kind of grabbing onto a scale and with my feet kind of bracing and pulling on this scale, hanging out over one side, ferociously taunting him.
Okay. And so you're holding on to the snake?
Mm-hmm.
Onto the scale. So you're sliding across rubble, as this thing is pulling further and further back. The Mechalot's charging behind you. Snake stops and spins its head around, and the hand comes up over top of its head as it looks down at this charging Mechalot. Horson, roll me a Constitution saving throw.
You got it.
And I think Marilla needs to do it as well. They're going to be within range too.
It's a 19.
Is this a spell?
This is defiling.
Oh. So does my
Which you can do.
Reservist bracelet pop off again?
You can, yeah. You can use it.
I do.
Oh, wait.
At least the passive ability. Yeah, the save.
Yeah. And its Constitution saving throw is a 13, which I believe is too low.
Yeah, that is my DC. So, meter beat.
That is the DC. So it made it. Okay. Yeah, so go ahead and roll me a Constitution saving throw for Marilla for the defiling.
Nat 1.
Oh, no.
That wasn't even a disadvantage. That was just mean. That was just mean-spirited.
Okay. Horson, you're able to withstand. You don't take any damage from this, but it does make you nauseous as you're riding on the back of this snake. And Marilla, this massive creature, drains most of the energy it uses to empower its spell from you. It's going to be 20 necrotic damage. And this is unlike you felt defiling a few times, but this is an entirely new level. It feels like something is trying to pull your organs out of your body. It feels like the water is being pulled out of every pore. It's impossibly uncomfortable. And a moment later, the snake-like creature points down with its eyes and one finger towards the Mechalot that's charging towards it, and cast Disintegrate. empowered by its defiling. So, Charlie, go ahead and roll me 1d20 minus 1.
Okay. 1d20. 4.
A beam of crimson light comes out of its eyes, following its finger, cuts through the earth, burning the earth into silt and smoke as it passes towards this charging Mechalot that's just following your orders. And when the beam strikes the Mechalot takes 71 force damage and instantaneously turns to ash that hangs in the air. The Howldoll turns to ash. Everything inside of it turns to ash. And then the creature turns back and continues rampaging out of the town. It crashes through the wall of Altaruk. And Horson, you're being dragged along with it. You're being dragged outside of the town. You have to make a choice right now. Do you stay with this massive creature or do you stay behind?
Wait, just a quick question about disintegrate. Did that require an attack roll?
No, it's a saving throw.
Okay.
It required the Mechalot to make a saving throw.
I'm going to hold on for as long as I can until like we've reached civilization. So as soon as we move past our caravan that's like waiting on the outside of the town, then I'll like hop off. Does this effect only lasts a minute?
You let go and you roll onto the ground. As you hit the ground, the large body of the snake comes up and it looks like it's about to fall right on top of you. Then it arcs and continues to worm around. Somehow you're not crushed. As the dust flies up, you can see the half-ruined town behind you. The snake cuts a path away from Altaruk and towards the channel, towards the Silt Sea, and you see it go over the edge of this cliff and dive into the silt. It begins to worm its way down into the silt. The silt kicks up into the air, and slowly it vanishes, leaving just the town, its people that have survived, the ruins behind. I think that's where we're going to go to a break. We'll be back, everybody. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. Grab yourself some water, grab yourself a snack. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. And we're back. We rejoin our story at high sun of the next day in Altaruk, a village largely in ruin and mourning. But already the rebuilding has begun in Altaruk. The bodies of the fallen taken to be returned to the sea. The buildings being worked on by the people who are used to rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding, though it's particularly bad this time. Local politicians are meeting in the council hall to determine what comes next. The people of the world and of Altaruk in particular are nothing if not resilient, but it's an eerily quiet day despite the sounds of people going about their business and trying to survive. One of Altaruk's counselors, Rakesh Sa-Dibade, has been revealed as the leader of Altaruk's snake cult, something that Horson and Ebo learned quite personally in our last session. Responsible for the summoning of this monstrous creature that rose from beneath the town and all of the tragedy that came with it. Yerovar, the new leader of House Wavir in Altaruk and Balak, thanks to the actions of Marilla and Dia, largely, is meeting with the councilors in the council hall. With them, Captain Rohana Gwain, representative of House Tomlador. The local guard, are keeping close watch in the hall. No one's allowed to enter for fear of another attack unless they've been invited. So, Horson, Ebo, Marilla, Akasha, and Dia, you are together now with what remains of the caravan. Taruk managed to get the smaller ship out from the dust storm, the edge of the city, managed to save House Akashia's Mechalot and House Akashia's gear with the help of Lord Lucius, neither of whom were seen during the fight, but they worked together. Taruk and the house leaders, Lord Lucius, Lord Atlas, have been invited to join the village council for the day. There was noticeable tension between Taruk and Lucius this morning, and it was only Lord Atlas's calming words that sort of kept the caravan together. So it's been a morning after this large battle, after this incredible event, where it almost seemed like things for the Veiled Alliance could fall apart. You are all to leave Altaruk today at some point after the council meeting ends, and as Altaruk rebuilds, you will continue on with the resources and the people who can move with you still to Golg to complete your mission, to gain audience with Lulali Poi, the goddess of the Crescent Forest, and her oracle Helena. The Veiled Alliance believes that if anyone can see into the future, can find a way to stop these cultists and the snake-like shapeshifters who seem to be gaining increasing power, it's the Oracle. So right now, all of you together, the only sounds are workers digging out rubble and remains, the caravan guards preparing to pack up everything they can onto one single mechalot, the muffled sounds of mourning villagers in their homes, and for the first time since your journey began, it's just the five of you together, uninterrupted, sort of amidst the caravan and the rubble and the ruins.
Oh, well, that was, quite exciting. I'm glad we're all safe. Good to see, at least, some familiar faces after all that destruction.
Horson is lost. Horson is somewhere else, and he's looking at this piece of flesh that he carved off with the snake tattoo on it, and he's just studying every intricacy of that thing.
Anything interesting there, Holson?
Yeah. I haven't felt this much hate in a long time. I don't know what these things are, or where they came from, or what they aim to do. But there's a code. The good fighters live, and the ones that lose die. I should have died down there. Baru should have lived.
It was her decision to let us go from what I understand, and if you were down there, then I would be no longer as well.
And I made that choice. She had the spirit. She didn't quit. I thought that was me. I thought I had that. And I didn't.
Well, you didn't quit when you got me out of there. Certainly, you were not in good constitution on escape out. You pushed through despite it being grim. You dodged huge boulders and rocks coming from the ceiling. It was quite you were in your own fight, to say in certain terms.
Yeah, but Baru, I was undefeated, but the only match I didn't win was against Baru. And the choices she made down there, she had what I didn't. And while I'm grateful that you are here, a part of me died down there with her.
Oh, well, I've seen Stranger before, and Baru still might be around. We do not know for certain.
I've seen stranger things.
Also, if Baru knows, if you are in some friendly relationship with Baru, I would assume that if she is to pass, that she would want you to continue fights and not to wallow. It seems that we have much on our plate as far as what to go do from here.
I don't have anything else other than this scrap of flesh with a snake tattoo on it. I can't do this by myself. I have nothing.
Well, there's many of us here, and to speak into that, how did you fare in the chaos?
And I look at Dia, Marilla, and Akasha as, like, I say, like, you know, how did you fare in the chaos? Like, what happened?
I too was involved in a very intense battle where I fought extremely hard to get ahead and to make my way through these black cloaked gentlemen, and I saw the thing you encountered too, and I was so busy fending off this large horde of attackers and taking them on single-handed, might I add. And I fought valiantly, as befitting my station. Just don't think enough people have given me credit this morning for the hard work that I put in to stand up for the people.
And And I'm gonna be the asshole that wants to roll an insight check.
I'm not even gonna roll an insight check.
Yeah, you can go and roll me an insight check. What's your?
I don't know Akasha hardly at all, so I giving her the benefit of the doubt.
What's Akasha's deception bonus?
Five from Horson, so you get your way.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of fighting that happened last night. A lot of
Plus
things happened.
3.
Okay, so you needed a 13, but you got a 5. So.
Yep. Yeah. So, I didn't know you could fight. What's your style? What's your strength?
Oh, I'm very fast, and I have a lot of upper body strength. I'm proficient with weapons, rocks. I even tore my dress in the midst of a very arduous battle to prove that I could protect this city-state.
Well, people get caught unawares from giant snakes coming out the ground. But is your dress like a battle dress, or did it restrict your mobility? Or I'm trying to visualize.
It actually makes it a lot easier to move, and it's a lot more breathable. Occasionally it does get caught and torn on things, and I have had to come to the understanding that those things are replaceable. But the people that I rule over as Caesar, they are not replaceable.
Please roll, just charm the shit out of me with a dice roll, please.
I think
Go ahead and
Dia is gonna just mutter, "Hail Caesar," and walk away to inspect the destroyed supplies from the back of the House Jarko caravan.
Okay. Akasha, you can roll me a persuasion check or a performance check. I think performance kind of sounds right.
That'll be a 29.
Got him.
Got him. Dia. Roll me an investigation check and let me know, are you looking for anything in particular, Dia?
I think she's looking for anything that is whole. Just looking for one thing to be like, Taruk, found a thing that I didn't break. She's not in a good mood, and her body language is very small and sunken and defeated. Her hair's a mess as she pushes it behind her ear, and she's just going through rubble. Natural 1 for a 5.
I mean, it's possible that you're taking control of the mech a lot, saved a lot of lives, maybe. Maybe that's what drove the snake off. Maybe the snake's intention, maybe that creature's intention was always to leave. But whatever spell was cast, it was a powerful spell. Everything it touched, it's not like it just wrecked it. It turned it to ash, every single thing. But I will kind of give you a rundown of what remains. As you're preparing to continue your caravan to Gulg. The Desert Drake, which is a House Tomblador ship. It's a strange vessel shaped like a canoe, but about 3 times as large, and it has a large parachute-like canvas sail on the top of the vessel's singular mast. It is something of a magical, blessed ship that is able to sail slightly above the sand with the parachute. It's controlled and powered by the blessings of 7 druids of the plane of air. That vessel was taken safely out of the village by Taruk. House of Kauchia's Howdaw, which is the oldest. It's a battle-scarred Howdaw, or not Howdaw, but a Mechalon. It has a Howdaw on top of it. It's a battle-scarred Mechalon. It's much older. It's a little slower than the rest. That's the only of your beasts of burden that are left. And right now, the workers are doing what they can to try to figure out how to take the remaining supplies from the village of Villery, many of which were lost, and pack them onto that Howdaw, what they can remove, what they need to take with them. People are making hard choices about supplies right now. In terms of the guards, the people that came with you, the Thrycreen, most of them, not all of them, but over half of them survived, the ones that are the guards for House Jarko. Ntak survived, perhaps thanks to your help, and the servants of House Akacia, including Van, were led away from the center of the town by Lord Lucius before the attack. So they were well away from the fight. The elvish guards of House Sereno were also away from the fight, and they also survived the attack. But House Sereno's supplies were destroyed in the attack. They were with the rest of the caravan that sunk into the earth during the earthquake. So the only supplies House Sereno has are the clothes and the little bits of things they took into the manor with them that night. And Villery, there's some food that you managed to scrounge up, but Evo, the banner, the 5 bamboo shoots within a crimson ring on a white field, it lies dusty and tattered and ripped on the ground, and not many of the supplies, the food that you brought with you, made it. So now there's not enough food to take all of these people with you either. So some people are talking about who is going, what we're bringing, what happens to everyone else. Do we stay here in Altaruk? Do we return to Balak? Those decisions haven't been made yet, but those are the conversations happening outside of your little circle with the rest of you.
You don't have to respond, Lady Akasha, because you've got such a girthy responsibility. I would like to vanquish whatever the fuck this snake cult is, and I can't do it alone. And I would very much like your help. And this is with a 29, nobody in Horson's life has ever seen him do this. But as he asks you with sorrow in his eyes, he puts a fist over his heart and he goes down to one knee and bows his head. I will be indebted to you if you can help me right this wrong.
It would be my honor to.
So I can count on you and your excellent battle skills when the time is right to strike against the head of this snake.
I know that I was there and everything, but exactly how large is this snake? From your perception, I can only say what happened when I saw what part of the snake that I did, and he was of a relatively large size. But if you could just flesh out the details from your sad experience.
Right, yeah, is this a metaphorical snake or a literal snake that you're talking? I'm not.
Like the snake people. You said there's snake people. I've seen snake people.
Yeah. Well, Meryl and I fought some snake people that were roughly our size, but then you just saw the big one that I scared the shit out of as it left the town. So, like, I guess this snake can vary in sizes. But if you cut the head off of, regardless of the size, like it's probably not going to move around anymore. I thought this was going to be a lot grander in my head as it was coming out my mouth, but now I feel awkward and my hands are sweaty.
So, from my understanding, you have the skill to cut the head off of a snake, correct?
I mean, if you were to hand me a snake right now, yeah, I'm sure, confident that I could do that. But the cult is what I was referencing. I don't know how deep it goes or how rooted it is in the region.
So what you're suggesting is that we engage in espionage, and I change my outfit into a spy outfit, and I infiltrate the cult and go and talk to them, and then we don't have to fight anyone because I will use diplomacy to get us ahead.
Well, that certainly is an option. I don't know what the outfit change is going. I'm not trying to assume anything, but
Thank you for your amazing ideas and your for understanding that I'm so exhausted from just the arduous battle that I've been through today. I'm sure yours was some form of just as bad, but not quite as bad as mine. But for you to volunteer to serve as my personal guard as I go on this mission to infiltrate this cult is just the bravest thing that I have ever heard. And if you have some friends that you would like to bring that could also act as more guards, because the number one thing that we say is long live Caesar. And as your Caesar...
Right. Yeah, I was really about this a second ago, and now I'm having second thoughts. So I'm going to sit back down, and I'm going to pretend that I didn't say anything. So, good day. And his eyes get really big because he's clearly very confused. And he goes right next to Ebo and sits back down again. And he just kind of stares into the rubble that's in front of him and trying to piece together what just happened.
Dear. Hey, well, let's see here. The one's gone. We know how are you? How things, did you get rough and tumbled up, or did you find some sort of safety or something to do during the chaos?
I'm like talking to Marilla because I haven't. Ebo's just trying to piece together everyone's story, and maybe I don't know if Ebo's trying to formulate a plan, but at least just gain knowledge of the event that took place. Muted.
The world opened up, the ground, and then I was running and over there, in a house. There were 4 of them, and they were chanting, and there was a circle. And then there was the storm and the snake, and then I was trying to find everybody, and I couldn't find anything at all. And I stabbed it for all the good it would do, but it's one little butter knife against a monster. I couldn't really help.
We must remember, just like Horson, it all contributed to at least us being here. Some representatives of our houses, or people who I find to be quite substantial or of importance to our journey. But yes, we may not. It becomes difficult to navigate these emotions when one is putting a lot of blame and error on oneself. But sometimes it behooves us to also look at the brighter side, the side that is growing, and we all, I think, grown from such a dangerous environment and have learned some things. Have we not?
And I'm just trying to cheer. Ebo doesn't know the words to kind of cheer these people up. It's not his people. He's just trying to do something for everyone.
Marilla's actually studying Ebo very carefully, visually seems to be investigating him, looking to wrists and little and belts, trying to find a signifier of a very particular kind, or within a given range.
Absolutely.
I don't know how visible such things might be, but I'm investigating with my eyes.
Sure.
I investigate. Yeah. On a 25. Wow, I like not being exhausted.
So with a 25, Ebo, what sort of tells might Marilla notice regarding things that might look like spell components or, anything like that?
After yesterday, I mean, I know via mechanics we're all healed up, but Ebo probably certainly has some weird blood splotches on his arm that doesn't quite make sense, that look like it's gone through fabric in a real weird spotty way. You might see me and Horson both have blackish, darkish veins, I would imagine, from certain spells that I've casted between the both of us and spells that I've inflicted upon others. When the wind subsides for a second after doing a slight gust and just goes still, you'll hear if there was such thing as a bone wind chime, it's kind of the noise you would hear. And I assume in Dark Sun people have those type of things, but that you hear those things rattling underneath at some points. I try and silence them, but you do hear that happening underneath my clothing, which is a lot of things are hiding in there, but I think those are the things that you may or may not pick up on.
Those are things that are relevant to my interests, so I do think Marilla's probably not subtle about it, that if you sort of put a hand to those bones to still them, you'll catch Marilla clocking that a bit too obviously.
Wait, clocking as in hitting, or clocking or like noticing when
That, like,
Ebo's doing something?
Marilla notices if Ebo's trying to still those bone wind chimes.
Oh, sure. By like, yeah, if my like, I'll be doing that with like my armpit or my elbow. You'll just see me like tightening it ever so often when I notice like it making a sound or the gust of wind going.
I think sort of Inspector Marilla is a bit too visible about that.
Sure.
And they're not smooth. What are we going to do about this place? Are we just leaving with our unknown number of snake cultists?
Oh, well, there's aware of the problem, and it seems like this town is quite mercurial and quite handy in constructing and rebuilding from such assaults. As you can see, that roof was already gone last night, and they've makeshift made another one. So, I feel like this town, from what I remember, is quite resilient.
How many other places do you think have embedded cults?
At that moment, Ebo kind of thinks about like what his village could sometimes be perceived at. And he just says,
a curious question. Something to ponder.
I'm just going to take a seat right next to Horson and just kind of subtly act like I'm also thinking about that question to kind of deflect.
If you'll pardon me, I think I have a bit more business before we leave then.
Certainly.
I'll see you on the road.
I would look forward to it.
Marilla gets up. They're going to head toward a balcony, but they're going to send Corey to spy on the council. It's just bugging at them, and there's that whole meeting. So they'll just be doing that in the background.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a perception check, and we'll come back to this here in a moment. What was that, Bill?
That one.
Oh no!
But
You just got your not disadvantage back.
yeah, this is the second not disadvantage nat one I've gotten. It's just that kind of night.
Okay. Well, I'll still give you a little bit of information here in a moment for what Corey sees as you kind of get up into the top of the building, look out over the village. Horson, what are you doing, or what are you thinking about right now? You're trying to process.
He's been a talker for a while, and he was, hook, line, and sinker into it, and then something happened where he ended up being in a situation where he was a personal guard, and that just didn't sit right with him. Like, he doesn't remember saying that. So he kind of shakes his head, and through social experiences that he's had before with talkers, he'll walk up to Lady Akasha's flank, and then he'll just go, Akasha, purposely not using the prefix lady. You had me there for a moment, but then you assumed. You assumed too much. I didn't agree to be your personal guard, and while I respect your ability, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. And then he'll smile, wait for like a half second for perhaps a vestige of a response, and then turn around and go to a separate part of the city.
Does Akasha respond?
Kasha responds the only way that she possibly could respond. It's Lady Akasha. Or Caesar, Your Grace.
He probably would have turned around at Caesar and started walking away.
You don't turn your back on your Caesar. I specifically commanded you. You offered. I heard it.
Horson, are you going anywhere to do something specific?
He'll find a little secluded, destroyed place and start to shadow box on his own. Mentally putting himself in different situations.
Is there anything that Horson's trying to piece together? Anything that he's trying to figure out that he doesn't understand?
All he can think about is the snake, the tattoo, why the cult is, what is the cult for, and as he's thinking about that stuff, his shadow boxing gets more vigorous and more intense, but he can't draw any. He can't connect any dots.
All right. Dia, you've kind of walked off a little bit further away. Once you kind of investigate what's left of the caravan, the supplies sifted through the dust of what was the Mechalod, what's going through Dia's mind? What's Dia doing next?
I like to think that in the trampling of the Mechalod and the escape of the snake, one of those petrified bodies was smashed up. And as she's rummaging through, she's found that, and she's going to take it. And you know the scene in Lord of the Rings that everyone always references because Viggo Mortensen totally broke his foot while kicking that skull? She's going to reenact that moment. She's going to scream in the exact same way and unleash all of the frustration she's had in here inside of her, even since we've left Balak. Just all of it needs to be gone from her body so she can go back to the calm place, to the place where she can create and still do things. Because as that beast was just erased from existence, she was in that creature's mind, and it's just a massive loss, sudden loss, even though that mind was so simple. Just it was gone. And it wasn't just like a TV being switched off. It was a massive absence of existence. And she's surrounded by so much defiling evidence. And so much magic that's gone. And so she channels all of this rage and she kicks this stone and she regrets it instantly, but the pain is great for that frustration. And I think she wanders just far enough that she cannot make out the words being spoken by the group because she just can't deal with people and their petty politics and their wants and desires, and she just doesn't care about it right now. She just destroyed something huge.
The missing wall of Altaruk, the one that this creature that rose from the earth smashed through. Without that wall there's nothing really that's protecting the silt from blowing into the village. And the silt from the sea, it overtakes things in time and builds up like layers, and already on these statues and the rubble all around, there's this growing layer of just fine silt. The wind blows it into your eyes. It clings to your clothes. Little bits of this place, of people that turn to stone or to dust. they're still clinging to you now. And they're going to be clinging to you maybe for a long time.
She unwraps that scarf that she'd used to conceal her face, protect herself. And she looks at it grubby. And she notices some of her own blood on it where the knives had cut through. She looks back to the group and then off to the distance, that remaining caravan. And there's a weight on her, a weight that she thought she'd lost. And she knows she's going to have to explain to Rook how she destroyed all of the supplies and just cost him a lot of money. But she has an idea of how we might be able to get around a personal disagreement about it.
Is there anyone who would approach Dia who, after she leaves the sort of circle, the little group that you formed here?
I would like to go after Dia.
Sure.
Just kind of want to put my face right in her face. Hey.
Reflexively, she recoils as someone comes into that personal bubble. Lady Akasha.
Dia?
Correct.
Dia. Why are you doing that thing with your face?
What thing with my face?
You know that thing where sometimes you've got all these emotions built up and then they start to spill over, you're this close to crying, but you're also still upset, so you're putting all of your stuff down inside your chest, and then eventually your chest starts to feel like it's going to explode because there's just so much emotion in it?
You can cry if you'd like, Lady Akasha.
Oh no, I don't need to cry. You look like you need to cry. I'm here as emotional support. And then she reaches up to Dia's shoulder and just kind of pats it 3 times. Says, there.
Very supportive. Might I offer you some supportive advice, Lady Akasha?
Yes?
You did want me to be part of your advisory council, did you not?
Yes. Advisory and exploratory council.
Well, might I advise you explore what I'm about to tell you? A true Caesar does not name themselves. Only the people can name Caesar. Stop. Or you will never become a Caesar.
So, what I'm hearing is you're offering to name me and speak up for me as part of my council, instead of myself just walking into a room and introducing. You would say, introducing Caesar.
If I ever said those words, then they would be true. You may hold your breath and wait for them, though. And she's gonna step backwards to get out of this personal space infringement that's happening.
Can I step back in front of her for just a moment?
Yes.
I understand what you're saying, and I completely understand, because you are putting your own emotional baggage onto me right now because you don't know how to deal and process your own stuff that you've got going on that you don't want to tell me about. But if you're going to be my advisor, at some point you kind of really have to start opening up to me and start sharing those things if we're going to grow and become a team eventually. And as you're supposed to name me Caesar since I can't do it myself. And as...
Hold your breath now. Lady Akasha, I will offer you something that I rarely offer anyone. You may ask me one question and I will answer it truthfully for you. This is me opening up. You may breathe.
Thanks. Why do you think that we found ourselves in this spot together? For some reason, all of our paths converged. We're very different people, but we found ourselves in the same position, seeking justice for some, whatever you've got going on, and that tall one. But there's a reason we're here, and if I'm being honest, we were supposed to meet so that you could help me ascend to the role of Caesar. And the snake stuff.
I believe that the noble houses of Balak are desperate. All of them grasping for life, grasping for power. It cannot be found in Balak at present, so they have all left. Those that remain are the strength of that city. Those that remain shall keep it whole until the noble houses, Jarko, Sereno, and the others can return and attempt to do something. Attempt to grasp. You are grasping, Akasha, but you don't know what you are attempting to grip yet. And when you grasp a snake, it can turn and bite you quickly, or it can fall from your hand. A snake is all muscle. It could tighten its grip upon you. Figure out what Caesar means, Akasha. Why you want it, what you will do with it, how you will keep it from biting you. It is a terrible thing that you seek. The sooner you understand that, Akasha, the better the leader you will become. I do believe you will be a leader one day. If you can figure out how to handle the snake.
So Akasha's going to reach out and wrap her arms around Dia and pull her into a hug and say, sometimes you just have to hug the snake. Close.
Akasha, I am not the snake. She doesn't force Akasha away, however. She exhales and lets the other woman embrace her. And after a moment, there is a hand on Akasha's back, and she pats twice. There.
And I think that is the best place to wrap this episode, with one caveat: just a glimpse of what Kuari sees and overhears from the council chamber. Guards within, Yerovar standing shoulder to thigh with or knee maybe with a half-giant Captain Rohana Gwaine, as they together speak with Lord Lucius, Lord Atlas, and Taruk. You can't hear the sound of the wind against the window pane or the window frame, the sound of stomping feet and murmurs make it really hard to hear what they're saying. But what you will see with a natural one isn't what you were seeking. It's that Lord Lucius is inside the chamber speaking to the council, and Lord Lucius is outside the chamber sneaking back into the merchant district. He appears to be in two places at once. And that's where we'll end the episode. Yay!
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you, friends. I had a blast today. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in, who's joined us today. This is the end of, sort of our second arc of this campaign. I'm excited for the next one, too. This one was a lot of fun. We had giant snakes. We had epic action. A lot of great role play with some of my very favorite people in the world to play with. So thank you for being here. If you're here, please know that you can support us by checking us out all over the internet. You can check us out on YouTube. You can go to our Discord and talk to us about what you're enjoying about the show. You can send us nice things on social media. You can join with some of the Dark Sun communities online if you want to know more about Dark Sun. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of people who've done their own homebrew, so you can play it in 5th edition. So you can check them out on Reddit. You can check them out on athos.org. There's Facebook groups, Twitter groups. If you want to play Dark Sun, it's out there for you, and you can play it right now. Other than that, I want to go around and let everybody say hi, who you are, where we can find you, if there's something you're thinking about in terms of the episode or what you're looking forward to happening next. Anything you want, really, it's your time. And let's start with Christina.
Hello, my name is Christina Ariel, and I play Akasha and Laguerre here on Rise of the Veiled Alliance. And Akasha is dealing with some stuff right now, and it may be manifesting in some self-absorption in addition to her regular level of self-absorption. So just to clarify. But my name's Christina Ariel. You can find me on the interwebs. Christina Ariel. There we go. KRYSTINA and you can find me on the interwebs and doing lots of stuff. I always announce it on the Twitter, so follow me on there. And as what's that thing the kids say, the Instagrams. Yeah, so just excited to be here and be a part of this awesome story, and hug Dia because it just seemed like the right thing to do.
Yeah. I loved how different what Akasha was doing today from everyone else, and I enjoyed the scenes at the end as characters are getting to talk to each other. I always think that's super cool. I was glad we got to do that today, kind of to decompress after a giant snake fight. And I liked that. I liked a lot of those scenes quite a lot. So thank you.
I just need
Bill.
one thing. I'm sorry. One thing.
Yeah.
The character art of that snake. The snake is a snack. And I just want to throw that out there. It says
it's a fine snake
fine little
monster.
thickums. We stand the snake.
Bill. Hey buddy.
Oh, there's so many terms I have to put into Google and figure out what they mean after this episode. I'm old. So this was a hoot. Normally you go into D&D campaigns thinking that you're going to be like a boss in combat and like you're going to be able to do this awesome shit, but this was humbling. So kudos to Don for stomping on my dreams, and kudos to everybody else for all the awesome role play. I think there's really cool dynamics now that are happening. I think it was like the first yeah, like I love letting the dice decide things. So that was a really fun moment for me with just Akasha, like Madonna, just Akasha. I feel like that's kind of fitting, right? I don't know. We'll see if it sticks. Perhaps if you like internet things, you can follow me at Bill of the Forest on Twitter. If you don't, then good for you, because the internet is a horrible place. Yeah, that's it. I look forward to being back on here with this awesome crew next week. You can find out all the other stuff I'm doing on my Twitters. And then I'm going to be asking Christina what all the kids are saying these days, so I can kind of understand what's happening with things. And that's it, Don. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Bill. Sam.
Hi, I'm Kids These Days, aka Sam Delev at Tchaikovsky, Chaikovsky. I have questions. I have so many questions. The best thing about an action-packed episode is when it raises like 8 new questions that eventually we will get answers to that. In the meantime, I will be practicing my grip strength all week, hanging from the cliff that Dawn has set me. So that's exciting. When I am not gripping for my life in between episodes of Rise of the Veiled Alliance, you can find me throughout the Twitchernet as a role-playing performer and variety games streamer. My full schedule for that is live weekly on my personal Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Delevely, Delevely. It's got pretty much everything I'm doing.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to resolving a few more things in Altaruk before we head off on our next adventure. And one of my favorite things that we're doing this season is we're going to get to see, kind of different. Each arc is going to be a completely different kind of setting. And I love Dark Sun so much for a lot of the diversity. So we're going to get to see some very different places moving forward. I'm looking forward to that. But I really did enjoy the story we've had in Altaruk. I thought it was a lot of fun. One of my favorite things that we've done on the show so far. And all of the choices you make, all the players have made, just add to it so much for me. And that includes Michael. Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent, Don. But yeah, so it's Michael Sinclair II. I go by Michael Crits everywhere. Yeah, the session was awesome. Being able to kind of do like a one-off thing with Horson and our guest was super cool, and coming back to the group and then like coming back to the party and like everyone's like, oh no, everyone's like kind of going through some sort of trauma. So like Ebo's like, well, he's old enough, he's seen some things, he's whatever, so he's just like, let me see if I can help the best I can. And looking forward to Ebo's interaction with Marilla, since we kind of like game as far as like spellcasters. But yeah, the rest of the stuff that I do is on my own Twitch channel. I am a Magic the Gathering streamer. You folks will get this episode much longer than we did it, but I'll be playing a lot of Zendikar Rising Standard, so that's going to be exciting. And you'll probably see a tournament, maybe on our part. I don't know. We'll see. Hasn't officially been announced in this time zone, in this time period of time. So maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't. But if you do, check out that video if it gets posted. You probably will see it on my Twitter. But yeah, excited to do some more stuff in Dark Sun and look forward to what this party does.
Same, and I'll say too, with all of the characters, some games have something called like an idea roll or something like that. Like because I feel like if you're ever like, I feel like my character should understand how these things connect. You can always ask me, and we can do a roll, because I am totally down. And this is true for some characters. Like you all now have little pieces of the puzzle. And we're going to start seeing all that come together more and more. And I think this conversation, the end of this session, was kind of the start of that. So I'm excited to see all that resolve too, as we've set everything into place, and now we'll start to see it all roll out together. But I did particularly like that you've done some defiling in the last couple of sessions. I think defiling is always super interesting. I loved this sort of like consent conversation that came out of some of the argument that had happened with Horson before, like this, like, hey, can I do this? Like, oh yeah, you can take for me, and it worked, like that was a thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
Always, folks. Always consent. Always. If I could drive that as my one thing in all TTRPG, I'm doing my job. So always that.
Especially when you steal your friend's life force from them.
Yes.
So yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. A lot of fun stuff deal with, draining life force. I'm the Lich Dad. Don't mind me. Just pass it off to the next person. Consent always.
Charlie. Hi.
Hello. I am Charlie. I play Dia. I'm at Encounter Roleplay. We do TTRPG streams. So if you like this one, you can check out ours as well. That's the plugs. I just looked at myself after that scene, and I realized I pinned my hair like Cersei Lannister, season 1, and maybe that's what came over me. Maybe that's what it was. I had Cersei Lannister in my head. I really appreciated tonight. It was fun to do a big fight, and ever since I saw Dominate Beast in my spellbook, I called it Tame Beast, but it's Dominate Beast. I was like, I gotta use that one of these big turtle things. I just gotta find a way. I thought it was gonna be racing turtles with Merilla, but throwing a giant turtle at a giant snake works out too. I'm alright with that. I'm not sure how I'm gonna explain it to the beloved Taruk that I destroyed everything, but hey, I'll be fine. He's gonna be blonde all over. He's gonna be, new man after Dia's done with him. He won't notice. It'll be fine.
I think the quartermaster conversation with Taruk and Dia is definitely going to happen next session. We won't have to wait long for that, because that's going to be a thing. But I did appreciate you taking the opportunity to take a fight that was already a big battle, gigantic chaos, like dark magic flying everywhere, and also turn it into a Godzilla fight for a few moments. I really appreciated that. I also loved the scene with Dia and Akasha at the end. That was super, super interesting. And just like with everybody else, we're getting to see more and more of the characters every week with Dia and learn a little bit more about them, and also see them kind of change as they have to adapt to more stressful situations or different situations. And this was a very stressful episode. It was a very stressful couple of episodes, depending on what you got into. And I thought it was really cool to see how people reacted in those moments. So thank you for that. Definitely check out Encounter Roleplay, all the shows they're doing over there. They're great. Check out everything that everybody here is doing on any channel. If you follow them on social media, you're going to find great stories, great content, entertaining, science, a little bit of everything that you need in your life. And so you can do no better than to follow them. If you want to follow me, you're welcome to. It's at Donathan Fry on Twitter. I write games, I run games. If you want to see me talk about them, sometimes you can go there. But a lot of times it's just going to be me supporting these people because I do. Thank you all for being here, and if you want to help LFM continue making the stories we're making, do check out our sponsors. Go and buy their things. Let them know we sent you. I know that means a lot to them, and it would mean a lot to us too. That's Dark Dice, Wormwood Gaming, Level Up Dice. Go check them out. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, and we will see you next week. Goodbye, friends.
Bye.